For the 11th and final colour palette of Huely I 2022, I chose to create destination posters for 3 US national parks. Huely I is a limited colour palette art challenge where the aim is to create imagery and designs using a maximum of 5 colours plus black and white if needed. To create additional colour variations, it's also possible to use smudge tools, transparencies and blending modes and so on. First up, we have Crater Lake National Park, which is located in Oregon. The lake itself is located in the crater of Mount Mazama, which is a volcano that collapsed in on itself many thousand years ago. The water in the lake has been created naturally through rain and snowfall, as there are no streams leading in or out of the lake. I knew right away that this colour palette would be perfect for landscapes. Truth be told, I was dying to paint a sky with a dusky peach and pink. And as I already painted a series of US national parks, I felt it was only right to do another series with this topic. The colour palette made it quite natural to have a slight winter-spring kind of mood, as it made sure I could create a contrast between the foreground and the lake itself. Hindsight being 2020, I'm not a big fan of how cropped the foreground appears, and I should have placed everything a tiny bit higher up. Like with the other landscape posters painted during Huely, I might have done some typography in Procreate, but the final typography and text placement was done in Photoshop. After Huely finished, I went back and made amends to all the destination posters to make sure that the typography was consistent throughout all of them, which meant I had to make some amends here and there as well. Next up is Great Sand Dunes National Park, which is located on the eastern edge of San Luis Valley in Colorado. The largest sand dunes in North America can be found in Great Sand Dunes National Park, where the sand is covering an area of 78 square kilometers, which is estimated to contain 5 billion cubic meters of sand. While it was tempting to just focus on the sand dunes, I wanted to add a little bit more context. So I made sure to add the Sangre de Cristo Range in the background, which is part of the Rocky Mountain Range. This gave me the chance to have some darker areas in the background, which would help the sand dunes stand out. As you know, I'm sharing the process behind these images just over a year after they were originally created. So I'm seeing a few things I know I could have done better. First off is the placement of the sun. It's a little bit too low compared to the actual lighting in the image, and maybe it shouldn't be visible at all. And I would have wanted to work a bit more with the clouds, as one of them don't quite seem to fit with the others. Finding issues with older work is totally normal for artists, but instead of beating ourselves up about the issues we're spotting, we should see what we could do to potentially fix the image, or what you can learn from it so you don't make the same mistake again. Finally, we have Saguaro National Park, which is found in Arizona. of all the destinations in the series, this is actually the one that caused me the most issues. And yes, some of them could have been avoided, as they actually revolved around the colour palette. You see, I didn't realise that there was a slightly poor contrast between the purple and the pink colours until I was working on this image. In the other two, I don't really have pink and purple directly next to each other, so I couldn't realise it sooner. In order to address the issue, I added some dark areas and highlights to the foreground and middle ground, which really helped make sure the shrubbery would stand out. What I could and probably should have done was to use clipping masks and layer styles to make some of the colours darker. But at the time, I wanted to use the colour palette as it was, and therefore tried to work around it in other ways. That said, I'm still quite happy with how the image turned out, despite the contrast issues, which luckily isn't as pronounced as it could have been. If you have any questions about my process, please let me know in the comment section, and I'll do my best to respond to your questions and maybe even address them in a future video. Thank you so much for watching. More process videos are up on my YouTube channel, and you can check out more of my work on my website and on social media.